Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, it's been the year in which the gloves have come off and old assumptions have been shredded like confetti. From celebrity deaths to worldwide terrorism, from Aleppo to Donald Trump, from Brexit to Black Lives Matter. Few would have predicted last December the way that 2016 has turned out. In a moment, we'll be debating the whys and wherefores and the what next. But first, here's a quick reminder of the events of the last 12 months. Buckle up.
I'm so bad I make medicine sick. I'm so fast, man, I can run through a hurricane and don't get wet. I can drown a drink of water and kill a dead tree. Wait till you see Muhammad Ali.
Something happened on the day he died. Spirit rose a meter and stepped aside. Somebody else took his place and bravely cried.
I hope that we are going to leave this union on June the 23rd, and so I'm going out now. I may be some time.
I know when to go out, know when to stay in, get things done.
Britain has voted to leave the European Union. Welcome to Brexit, day one.
I love this country and I feel honoured to have served it. And I will do everything I can in future to help this great country succeed. Thank you very much.
Together, we will build a better Britain.
Good afternoon. Well, it's been a very, very busy first day for me here at the Foreign Office.
She was a young American.
She was the young American.
She was the young American.
What the hell is going on?
We are live in Brussels tonight. At least 30 dead and hundreds injured in 2 attacks.
Although they attack our way of life and they attack us because of who we are, we will never let them win.
Molenbeek, the once unknown suburb of Brussels, now seemingly the country's extremist heartland.
Within a few shocking, terrible minutes, a night of celebration turned into a night of horror.
Bodies were lying everywhere, crushed by the wheels of the truck. This is a truly terrible attack.
It's a dude? No, it's a sniper. It's a sniper? What do I do?
As Donald Trump put it so succinctly and articulately, what the hell is going on? Well, joining me now is the writer Bidisha, Juliet Samuel from the Telegraph newspaper, and the London-based Dutch journalist Joris Landik to discuss some of the major issues of 2016. Welcome to you all. We've got lots to unpack. We've got, only a few minutes to do it, so let's get cracking. Brexit and Trump, some people call it populism, other people call it the triumph of genuine grassroots democracy. Which is it, Juliet?
I think it's the year that the losers won. So people who had felt that every political major decision that was made was going against them suddenly found themselves on the winning side. I'm not sure populism is the right name for it, but I don't think that I yet have an alternative name.
What do you think?
I'd go along with that. What we've seen is the absolute triumph of sloganeering over policy making, of just saying anything, as long as it's catchy and memorable, over sitting down, looking at the real political process and thinking, what kind of change do we want? why do we feel so disenfranchised? So it was a vote against the underdevelopment of cities, against the underinvestment in very basic things like healthcare and schools and all the rest of it, which went horribly the wrong way.
But the margins have also been quite tight, haven't they? I mean, in America, Hillary Clinton actually won the popular vote, and Trump won the Electoral College by 79,000 votes in 3 states, which is not a landslide. And in this country, Brexit arguably was also quite a narrow margin. So if we talk about these sort of tectonic shifts, Joris, are we slightly missing the point?
Well, we could be. But I think what has become clear is that unless you vote for a bunch of racists, you will not be listened to. And so if you look across Europe, there are all these groups on the left, and here there's Corbyn, and they're being consistently ignored. If you want to be heard, don't vote for a left-wing, actually a well-argued alternative, because the left has a thought-out plan. Vote for the racist bullshitters. And then suddenly the elite will perk up. That's really depressing.
But why this anger? Because, I mean, in America, unemployment sank below 5% this year. Wage levels were going up for the first time since the recession. This country's economy is doing fairly well too. So how do you explain this anger?
Well, although unemployment is very low, if you actually look at real wages in this country, we've had the biggest fall. I think in the last 10 years, wages have actually fallen 6%. That's the first time that this has happened in this country for about 80 or 90 years. So although on the face of it, things are doing fine, and actually we're doing okay as an economy, people don't feel that they have a route to aspiration, that their future is a bright one. So I think they felt pessimistic, and they felt like that they needed a change and things were going in the wrong direction.
There's been a lot of criticism of the liberal elite, of the metropolitan elite, which I guess includes all of us. Badisha, I mean, has the metropolitan elite been incredibly incompetent at putting its own point of view? Because they've been in a very sort of, they've been in a rather cowed defensive position, haven't they?
I would very much have liked to have seen, during the whole Brexit campaigning, the left being much stronger about the importance of remaining. I was casting about, waiting for someone to say something that I could remember. And as you say, we're all involved in this world anyway. And yet that didn't happen. Instead, what we've seen over a long number of years, since the sort of new Labour, Blairite, sort of yuppie Labour, that Labour has kowtowed to the right. And in fact, instead of us saying, my God, 2016's been terrible, what we could say is, what we need to have happen now is the left solidifies, comes together, makes itself electable, puts forward its message in a way that's leftist, but that's strong, and then defends its position instead of going, yeah, no, I mean,
but it's hopelessly divided. And this country, the left is unbelievably divided between, the Corbynites and the non-Corbynites.
This is something, and in fact, you've touched upon it very well. The left famously is very good at splitting off into many, many, many areas. The right is very good at coming together and then putting forward a message which may not be true at all, but they can shout it so loudly. OK, talking of shouting loudly, we have to talk about Donald Trump, of course. Who here predicted his victory? Did you, Joris?
No.
One word? No? Did you?
No.
Did you?
No, but I wasn't surprised.
You weren't surprised. OK, that's not good enough. We want a full prediction.
I was
here.
not. No,
OK, so, but you were surprised, Joris?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we should be grateful that at least we got rid of the Clintons. I mean, here's someone who voted for the Iraq War, which is the single most defining disaster, and was very chummy with Goldman Sachs, who were at the heart of the other big disaster. So where was the Democratic Party? When they were thinking, OK, are we going to give our voters Bernie Sanders? No, let's just settle for this person. So the fact that we got rid of him, her, is a plus. Everything else is a disaster.
But the bigger question here is, have the forces of autocracy won this year? I mean, it's Trump with his incredibly unapologetic, robust, red meat language. It's Erdogan in Turkey, Xi Jinping, I mean, with a kind of Maoist personality cult in China. Yeah. You've got Viktor Orban in Hungary, making no apologies whatsoever. I mean, and of course Brexit here. I mean, this is but not that Brexit is autocratic, but autocratic leaders around Europe and in the United States, the world's greatest democracy, supposedly, are on the up. Why is that?
I think it's what happens in times of great uncertainty, as indeed Juliet alluded to, but I don't necessarily put Trump into that category because I don't think that he's politically sophisticated enough to be an autocratic leader. What's interesting about Trump is that, to me, he's the drunk guy at the bar who shouts more and more the more you tell him to be quiet. So he wasn't even Hillary Clinton's opposite number. Clinton deserved an opposite number.
But he
to
may not
debate
be
against.
sophisticated, but he's got the last laugh, hasn't he? Because he tapped into something that none of the other politicians managed to tap into.
The thing is, if you pass what he actually says, if you write it down in words, he rarely makes sense.
OK. Juliet, he tapped into something, didn't he?
Yes, he did. But I think, as you mentioned earlier, the margin, Hillary actually won the popular vote and the margins was very small. And so, I mean, one way of looking at Trump is that you had a political elite that had been in power for a long time. Hillary Clinton represented that elite. And the longer someone is in power, the more the power does corrupt. And so people said, actually, we want to clear out that, and we're not scrutinising too hard the alternative. We just want to change. So it's not necessarily a full endorsement.
But the question I have, and I've been thinking about this quite a bit, is I wonder if democracy has become a victim of its own success. People have, taken stuff and even prosperity and the kind of peaceability of democracy for granted, and therefore you try out these experiments like Trump.
I think that you could look at it that way, that, I heard someone saying recently that this is an affordability vote. But I think also that people, it's not just economics, though, is it? People felt culturally left behind, and they felt that things were being taken out of their control, out of their nation, and put in international remote organisations that they had nothing to do with. So it's not just an economic vote, it's also a cultural shift.
OK, I'm going to really bug you now with some predictions for next year. Joris, Marine Le Pen, President of France, yes or no?
I think ultimately not. What I'm sure of is that this is the coming year is when Britain discovers that it has voted to leave an organisation it doesn't understand for a future it hasn't examined, and that Brexit will mean what the EU decides it means. And that is a long way to go.
The EU is not very happy with the way Britain has been behaving over this so far.
Yeah, and Britain has voted to pit itself against a bloc of nations 5 times its size.
OK, Badisha, will Angela Merkel survive the latest
great question.
attack?
I respect her a huge amount. I very much hope that she does, because if she falls and Germany moves rightwards officially, then the rest of the EU, politically and ideologically, is in real trouble. So I hope that she prevails.
OK, very briefly, Juliet. Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump, will the bromance continue, or will they fall out, and will it have disastrous consequences?
I think it will continue, and it's one of the things I'm most worried about is Russia, an assertive, aggressive Russia being kowtowed to.
Run out of time. Juliet, Badisha, Joris, thanks for coming in.